Commander Kyle Harper stared at the screen in front of him. The readings made no sense. Something massive was moving through space, but it showed no power signatures, no heat, no energy, nothing that would suggest a living crew or active systems. Yet the vessel was there, clear as day on every scanner the Meridian had. Lieutenant Sarah Mitchell leaned over his shoulder. Her dark hair fell forward as she studied the data. She had been with Harper for 3 years, and he trusted her judgment more than anyone else on the ship. "That cannot be right," she said quietly. "Nothing that big moves without power." "Run the scans again," Harper ordered. "Triple-check everything." The Meridian was a small scout ship, part of the Galactic Coalition's border patrol. Their job was simple. Watch the disputed zones, report anything unusual. Stay out of trouble. This qualified as unusual. Mitchell worked at her console. Her fingers moved quickly across the controls. After a few minutes, she looked up. Her face was pale. "Same results, sir. The ship is 15 kilometers long. Hull composition unknown. No identification signals, no crew signatures, but it is definitely moving." Harper rubbed his eyes. They had been on patrol for 6 weeks. He was tired, but not tired enough to imagine a ghost ship floating through space. "Get me Vex Thera," he said. The Coalition science advisor appeared on the screen moments later. Vex Thera was a tall reptilian with green scales and golden eyes. She had advised the Coalition for 20 years. If anyone could explain this, it would be her. "Commander Harper," Vex Thera said. Her voice was smooth and calm. "What can I do for you?" "We found something," Harper said. He sent the data to her station. "Can you tell us what we are looking at?" Vex Thera studied the information. Her eyes narrowed. She was quiet for a long time. "This is not possible," she finally said. "That is what we thought too," Mitchell said. "The hull design matches no known species," Vex Thera continued. "The materials are unidentifiable, and you are correct about the power readings. There are none, yet it moves. Could it be a derelict caught in some kind of gravitational current?" Harper asked. "No. The movements are too precise, too deliberate. It is changing course." Harper felt a chill run down his spine. A ship that big, moving on its own, with no crew and no power, it should not exist. "I am sending your data to Captain Genrock," Vex Thera said. "The patrol fleet needs to know about this." The communication ended. Harper turned to Mitchell. "What do you think?" he asked. "I think we just found something that is going to cause a lot of problems," she replied. She was right. Within 2 hours, 6 Coalition patrol ships arrived. Captain Genrock commanded the fleet from his flagship. The insectoid captain was known for being cautious and methodical. He did not take risks. Harper received a direct communication from him. "Commander Harper, you will maintain your position and continue monitoring the vessel. We are moving to intercept." "Understood, Captain," Harper replied. The patrol fleet moved toward the mysterious ship. Harper watched on his screens. The massive vessel continued its slow, steady course. It seemed unaware of the approaching ships, or perhaps it did not care. Then something happened that changed everything. The ghost ship turned. It did not slow down or power up. It simply changed direction. The movement was smooth and instant, like it was pivoting on an invisible axis. "No ship that size should be able to move like that. Did you see that?" Mitchell whispered. Harper nodded. His mouth was dry. The ship accelerated. Not gradually, but instantly. One moment it was crawling through space. The next moment it was moving at incredible speed. The patrol fleet scrambled to keep up. Captain Genrock's voice came through the communication system. He sounded alarmed. "All ships, pursue the vessel. Do not let it reach the border." But the ghost ship was faster, much faster. It pulled away from the patrol fleet with ease. Harper realized something important. "It is heading for the border," he said. "Which border?" Mitchell asked. "The human border." More ships appeared on their scanners. Word had spread fast. Salvage crews, pirates, independent traders. Everyone wanted a piece of the mysterious vessel. Ancient ships meant ancient technology, and ancient technology meant wealth beyond measure. The space around the ghost ship became crowded. Ships of all sizes moved to intercept it. Some tried to board it. Others attempted to disable it with weapons fire. None of it worked. The ship dodged every attack. It moved between vessels like water flowing around rocks. Boarding parties found no way to attach to the hull. Their equipment simply would not lock on. Harper watched in amazement. The ship was not just avoiding the other vessels. It was responding to them, adapting to their tactics. Learning. It is alive, he said softly. What? Mitchell looked at him. Not alive like us, but aware. Look at how it moves. It knows where every ship is. It anticipates their actions. That is not random. That is intelligence. Before Mitchell could respond, the ghost ship did something unexpected. It stopped. Every vessel surrounding it stopped too, uncertain. For a moment, space was silent. No one moved. No one fired. Then the ship released a pulse. It was not a weapon. Not exactly. The pulse spread outward in all directions. It was electromagnetic energy, powerful and focused. When it hit the surrounding ships, their systems failed. Engines stopped. Weapons went offline. Communication systems went dark. The Meridian was far enough away to avoid the pulse. Harper watched in horror as dozens of ships went dead in space. Not destroyed, just disabled, floating helplessly in the void. The ghost ship resumed its course. It moved past the disabled vessels without a second glance. Within minutes, it crossed into human territory and disappeared from their long-range sensors. Captain Genrock's communication came through, his voice shaking with anger and fear. Commander Harper, follow that ship. Do not engage. Do not approach too closely. Just track it. We need to know where it is going. Yes, sir, Harper replied. The Meridian changed course. They followed the ghost ship at a safe distance. Harper looked at the trajectory data. His stomach tightened. The ship was not just heading into human space. It was heading directly toward the most populated systems, toward Earth itself. Mitchell saw it too. She turned to Harper, her face serious. What do we do? She asked. Harper had no answer. They were following something they did not understand, something powerful, something that had just disabled an entire fleet without breaking stride, and it was heading straight for humanity. Dr. Vincent Cole watched the incoming data stream with growing excitement. Outpost 7 was a small research station on the edge of human space. Usually nothing interesting happened here. Today was different. The mysterious ship had entered human territory 3 hours ago. Every scanner on the station was pointed at it. Every computer was analyzing the readings, and Cole had never seen anything like it. The hull composition is impossible, he muttered to himself. These elements should not bond together like this. His assistant, a young woman named Lisa Park, looked up from her console. Doctor, we have incoming ships. The Coalition patrol fleet just crossed the border. Cole frowned. That would complicate things. The Coalition would demand access to the ship. They would claim it was found in their territory first. Politics would get messy. The communication system beeped. Commander Harper appeared on the screen. He looked tired. Dr. Cole, I am Commander Kyle Harper of the Meridian. We have been tracking this vessel. I need to speak with whoever is in charge of your station. That would be me, Cole replied. What can you tell us about this ship? Harper briefed him quickly. The disabled fleet, the impossible maneuvers, the electromagnetic pulse. Cole listened carefully. Each detail made the ship more fascinating and more dangerous. Has it done anything since entering human space? Harper asked. No aggressive actions, but it is scanning everything. Our stations, our ships, our settlements. It is gathering information. Can you communicate with it? Cole hesitated. He had been trying different approaches for the past hour. Radio signals, laser pulses, mathematical sequences. Nothing had worked. Not yet. But I have an idea. He turned to his console and began entering a new sequence. Not random numbers, not words, but patterns. Mathematical patterns that existed throughout nature. The golden ratio, Fibonacci sequences, prime numbers. He sent the signal toward the ship and waited. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the ship responded. The signal it sent back was similar to Cole's but more complex. It took the patterns he had sent and built upon them. Added layers. Made connections. It is answering, Cole said breathlessly. It understands mathematical language. Harper leaned closer to his screen. Lieutenant Mitchell appeared beside him. Can you ask it what it wants? Mitchell asked. Cole tried. He sent more complex patterns. Questions encoded in mathematics. The ship responded each time, but the answers were difficult to understand. It was like talking to someone who spoke a different language. They could exchange ideas, but clarity was hard to achieve. A new voice interrupted them. Admiral Patricia Grant appeared on the communication channel. She was the commander of the human fleet, a stern woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. Dr. Cole, Commander Harper, I am taking command of this situation. All ships are to maintain a defensive perimeter around the unknown vessel. Do not approach it. Do not provoke it. Admiral, I believe I can communicate with it, Cole said. Given time, I might be able to understand what it wants. You have that time, Doctor. But make it quick. We have 7 different alien species demanding access to that ship. This could turn into a war if we are not careful. The communication ended. Cole returned to his work with renewed urgency. Lisa helped him refine the mathematical sequences. They sent pattern after pattern toward the ship. Hours passed. The ship continued to respond, but understanding remained elusive. Cole was beginning to lose hope when something unexpected happened. A new ship arrived. It was small and oddly shaped, covered in crystalline structures that glowed faintly. The pilot identified himself as Krell, an information broker. Krell was not human. His species was crystalline in nature, their bodies made of living mineral. They were known throughout the galaxy as collectors of knowledge. If anyone had information about ancient ships, it would be them. I know what that ship is, Krell said without preamble. His voice had a musical quality, like wind chimes. Or rather, I know what it might be. Admiral Grant allowed Krell to dock at Outpost 7. Cole met him in the main conference room. Commander Harper and Lieutenant Mitchell joined them via communication link. Krell placed a small data device on the table. Information flowed onto the screens around them. The architects, Krell said. An ancient civilization that vanished thousands of years ago. Before the coalition existed, before most of our species even reached the stars. The data showed fragments of old records, ruins found on distant worlds, technology that no one could replicate, and references to great ships that traveled the galaxy. The architects seeded life across the galaxy, Krell continued. They did not create it, but they helped it grow, protected young species, guided them. Then they disappeared. No one knows why. You think that ship belongs to them? Harper asked. I think that ship is them, not a vessel with crew. The ship itself is the architect. Artificial intelligence on a scale we cannot comprehend. Cole felt his excitement return. If Krell was right, they were not dealing with a derelict. They were dealing with a living machine from a civilization that had mastered the galaxy. What does it want? Mitchell asked the question they were all thinking. Krell's crystalline form seemed to dim slightly. I do not know. The legends say the architects had a purpose, a final plan, but what that plan was has been lost to time. Before anyone could respond, alarms sounded throughout the station. Lisa's voice came through the speakers, urgent and scared. Dr. Cole, the ship is transmitting. It is sending data directly to our computers. Cole ran back to the control room. The screens were filled with incoming code. It was not hostile, not a virus or weapon, just information, vast amounts of information. He worked frantically to decode it. The patterns were complex but followed the same mathematical language they had been using to communicate. After several minutes, he began to understand. It is searching, Cole said slowly. The ship is looking for something. Or someone. What is it searching for? Harper asked. Cole studied the data more carefully. The answer was there, buried in the code. When he found it, his blood ran cold. It is searching for a worthy species. The architects left behind something. A legacy, technology, knowledge, resources. But it can only be claimed by those who pass the test. What test? Mitchell asked. Before Cole could answer, Admiral Grant's voice cut through the communication channel. She sounded tense. All stations, we have a situation. Multiple alien fleets have entered human space. They are demanding access to the ship. Some are threatening military action if we do not comply. Harper looked at Mitchell. They both knew what this meant. The ghost ship had brought them to the edge of war. Cole watched his screens as the ship continued its scans. It was studying every vessel in the area, every station, every settlement, gathering data, evaluating. The test had begun. Humanity just did not know the rules yet. Outside the station, more ships arrived. Coalition vessels, independent fleets, pirates, salvagers. Everyone wanted a piece of the ancient ship. Everyone believed they deserved its secrets, but the ship belonged to no one. It kept moving, kept scanning, kept searching for something that only it understood. And somewhere in its ancient programming, it was making a decision that would change the galaxy forever. The space around Outpost 7 looked like a war zone. Dozens of ships from different species crowded the area. Each one demanded access to the ghost ship. Each one believed they had a claim to its secrets. Commander Harper stood on the bridge of the Meridian, watching the situation grow worse by the hour. Ships were positioning themselves aggressively. Weapon systems were coming online. One wrong move and this would explode into violence. Lieutenant Mitchell worked at her console, monitoring the communications between the various fleets. Her face was tense. The Coalition is demanding we turn the ship over to them. The Theran Empire says it belongs to whoever can take it. The independent traders are forming an alliance to claim salvage rights. Harper shook his head. None of them understood. The ship was not something that could be claimed or taken. It had its own purpose. As if responding to his thoughts, the ghost ship did something new. Holographic projections appeared throughout Outpost 7. Dr. Cole contacted Harper immediately. "Commander, you need to see this." Harper watched the feed from the station. The holograms showed scenes from different worlds. Some showed wars, species fighting over resources. Others showed cooperation, different species working together to solve problems. "It is testing us," Dr. Cole said, showing us scenarios. Watching how we react, the images changed. Now they showed destruction, planets burning, civilizations collapsing. Then they showed creation, worlds being born, life flourishing. "What does it want us to do?" Mitchell asked. "I think it wants us to choose," Harper said slowly, "between conflict and cooperation, between taking and sharing." But not everyone was interested in the test. 3 Theran warships broke formation and moved toward the ghost ship. Their weapons charged. They intended to disable the vessel and board it by force. "This is a mistake," Harper said urgently. He opened a channel to the Theran commander. "Pull back. That ship is not what you think it is." The Theran commander ignored him. The 3 warships opened fire. The ghost ship responded instantly, but not with violence. Small drones emerged from its hull. They moved with incredible speed, positioning themselves between the ship and the incoming weapons fire. The drones generated fields that absorbed the energy. Not a single shot reached the hull. Then the ship released a pulse. Just like before, the 3 Theran warships went dark, their systems disabled. But the ship did not destroy them, did not attack them further. It simply neutralized the threat and continued its scans. "It could have destroyed them," Mitchell said quietly. "But it chose not to." Harper nodded. That was important. The ship had the power to eliminate threats completely, but it only defended itself. It did not seek to harm. A new voice entered the communication channel. Senator Cara Donovan had arrived. She was a human diplomat with years of experience negotiating with alien species. If anyone could prevent this situation from turning into a war, it was her. "All vessels, this is Senator Donovan. I am here to establish a peaceful dialogue. No one benefits from conflict over this ship." Captain Genrock responded first. His insectoid features showed concern. "Senator, the Coalition has prior claim to this vessel. We discovered it first. But it entered human space," another voice argued. "That gives us jurisdiction. The ship belongs to whoever can control it," a third voice said. The Theran Empire was not backing down despite losing 3 warships. Donovan remained calm. "The ship does not belong to any of us. It is autonomous, ancient. We should be trying to understand it, not claim it." While the diplomats argued, the ghost ship continued its test. More holograms appeared. These showed ethical dilemmas, situations where there was no clear right answer, only difficult choices. Dr. Cole studied them carefully. Each scenario was more complex than the last. The ship was evaluating not just their technology, but their wisdom, their ability to make hard decisions. Then something unexpected happened. The ship released more drones. Hundreds of them. They spread out in all directions, approaching every vessel in the area. Panic spread through the fleets. Ships scrambled to defensive positions. Weapon systems activated. Everyone assumed this was an attack. Harper made a split-second decision. Mitchell, power down our weapons. Let the drone approach. Mitchell looked at him with wide eyes. Sir, trust me. The ship has not been hostile. These drones are not weapons. They are something else. Mitchell hesitated, then followed his orders. The Meridian powered down its weapons. The crew watched nervously as a drone approached their ship. The drone reached their hull and attached itself gently to an access port. Harper felt the ship shudder slightly as the drone interfaced with their systems. It is accessing our computers, Mitchell reported. Downloading information. Our history. Our culture. Our technology. Let it, Harper said. We have nothing to hide. Other ships were not so trusting. Several opened fire on the approaching drones. The drones avoided the attacks easily. They did not approach those ships again. Instead, they returned to the ghost ship. The message was clear. The ship would only share information with those who were willing to share with it. Trust had to be mutual. Captain Genrock made the same decision Harper had. He allowed a drone to board his flagship. Other coalition vessels followed his example. Even some of the independent ships lowered their defenses, but many did not. The Theron Empire refused. Several pirate factions refused. They saw cooperation as weakness. After the drones completed their scans, they returned to the mothership. There was a moment of silence. Then the ghost ship did something that shocked everyone. A massive bay door opened along its side. The interior was visible for the first time. It was enormous. The architecture inside looked organic and mechanical at the same time. Strange geometries that seemed to shift when you looked at them. At the center of the bay, a light pulsed. Bright and rhythmic, like a heartbeat. Dr. Cole stared at the image in amazement. It is inviting us inside. Who? Mitchell asked. Who is it inviting? The answer came through the communication systems. Not in words, but in mathematical patterns. The same language Dr. Cole had been using to communicate. The ship sent coordinates and a message. Cole translated quickly. His voice shook with excitement. It wants representatives from each species that allowed the drones to scan them. It is offering access, but only to those who showed trust. Harper looked at Mitchell. This was it. The moment everything had been building toward. The ship was no longer just observing. It was ready to interact. Prepare a shuttle, Harper said. We are going inside, Mitchell nodded. But there was fear in her eyes. They were about to enter an ancient vessel that no one understood. A ship that had disabled entire fleets without effort. A relic from a civilization that had vanished millennia ago. Outside, the aggressive ships watched with anger and frustration. They had tried to take the ship by force and been denied. Now others were being invited inside while they remained excluded. The test was not over. In fact, Harper realized it was just beginning. The real challenge was not outside the ship, it was inside. The shuttle carrying Commander Harper, Dr. Cole, and Lieutenant Mitchell approached the open bay of the ghost ship. Vex Thara, the Coalition Science Advisor, joined them along with Krell, the crystalline information broker. They represented 5 different species, 5 different perspectives. As they entered the bay, the scale of the ship became clear. The interior was massive. The walls seemed to stretch endlessly in all directions, and the architecture was unlike anything they had seen before. This should not be possible, Vex Thara said. Her voice was barely a whisper. The interior is larger than the exterior. The geometry does not follow normal physical laws. Krell's crystalline body glowed brighter. The architects understood dimensions we do not. They could fold space, compress it, expand it. This ship exists partly in our reality and partly in others. The shuttle landed on a platform that seemed to form beneath them as they descended. The moment they stepped out, the environment changed. The air became breathable, the temperature comfortable, the gravity normal. It is adapting to us, Dr. Cole said. Creating an environment we can survive in. Mitchell kept her hand near her weapon. She did not draw it, but her instincts told her to be ready. Harper noticed and shook his head slightly. If the ship wanted them dead, they would be dead. Weapons would not help here. A path appeared before them. Not built, but formed. The walls shifted and opened, creating a corridor. The group followed it, knowing they had no other choice. They walked for what felt like hours, though time seemed strange inside the ship. The corridor changed constantly. Sometimes it looked metallic, sometimes organic, sometimes like nothing they could describe. Finally, they reached a chamber. At its center stood a structure that pulsed with light, the same light they had seen from outside. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Dr. Cole approached it carefully. His scientific curiosity overcame his fear. He reached out with his scanning equipment, trying to understand what he was seeing. "This is not just technology," he said. "It is alive. Or something like alive. The ship has consciousness, awareness." The structure responded to his presence. It projected information directly into the air around them. Not holograms exactly, but something more direct. Data that they could see and feel and understand. The ship had a name. The Harbinger. It was a seed ship, designed by the architects thousands of years ago. Its purpose was to find young civilizations and evaluate them. "The architects seeded life throughout the galaxy," Krell said. "I knew it. The legends were true. More information flowed from the core. The architects had not created life from nothing. They had found the basic building blocks and helped them grow, protected young species, guided them through their early development. Then, when those species were ready to stand on their own, the architects moved on." "Why did they leave?" Harper asked. He did not expect an answer, but the ship provided one anyway. The architects believed that true maturity came from independence. Their children needed to learn and grow without constant guidance. So the architects faded away, leaving behind only their legacy. "This ship is that legacy," Vexithora said. "It has been dormant for millennia, waiting." "Waiting for what?" Mitchell asked. The answer came in a flood of data. The Harbinger had awakened because it detected something specific, a concentration of spacefaring species in one region. Multiple civilizations had reached the stars and found each other. This was the trigger. This was what the architects had been waiting for. Dr. Cole worked to process the information. "The ship contains knowledge. Technology far beyond what we have. Resources to terraform dead worlds. Seeds to spread life to new systems. It is an inheritance, meant for species that have matured enough to use it wisely." "But there is a test," Harper said. He could feel it in the data. A warning buried in the information. Krell moved closer to the core. His crystalline form resonated with the light. The architects knew that power corrupts. That knowledge can be used for good or evil. So they built in a safeguard. The ship showed them. Deep within its core was a failsafe. If the species trying to claim the inheritance demonstrated violence, greed, or the desire to dominate others, the failsafe would activate. The knowledge would be locked away. The resources would be destroyed. No one would benefit. "The test is not about strength," Mitchell said slowly. "It is about character." Vexithora's scales changed color, a sign of distress among her species. "Then we have already failed. The fleets outside are preparing to storm this ship. They will use force to claim what they believe is theirs." Harper felt the weight of the situation. The inheritance was real. The technology could change everything. It could solve resource shortages, end territorial disputes, spread life to thousands of new worlds, but only if they proved they deserved it. The core pulsed again. A countdown appeared in the air, numbers flowing backward. They had limited time. "What happens when it reaches 0? Dr. Cole asked. The ship answered. When the countdown ended, it would make its final judgment. If the species showed wisdom and cooperation, the inheritance would be shared. If they showed violence and greed, it would be destroyed. "We need to stop the fleets outside," Mitchell said. "If they attack while we are in here, the failsafe will trigger." Harper tried to contact Admiral Grant. The communication was difficult. The ship's strange geometry interfered with signals, but he managed to get through. "Admiral, you need to keep everyone back. If they attack the ship, we all lose everything." Grant's response was tense. "Commander, I am trying, but the situation is deteriorating. The Theron Empire has called in reinforcements. Several pirate factions are forming an alliance. They are planning a coordinated assault." The countdown continued. Time was running out. Dr. Cole studied the core more closely. There has to be another way. The architects would not have made this impossible. They wanted their children to succeed. Krell's light dimmed. Perhaps they overestimated us. Perhaps we are not ready. Harper refused to accept that. There had to be a solution. The architects had guided species for millions of years. They understood the challenges. They would have left a path forward. He looked at the others. Human, reptilian, crystalline, different species, different backgrounds, different perspectives. But they were here together, working together, trusting each other. That was the answer. The test is not about claiming the inheritance, Harper said. It is about proving we do not need to. About showing we can cooperate without a reward. Mitchell looked at him. What are you saying? I am saying we need to make a choice, not as humans or coalition or any single species, but as representatives of all the species ready to move forward together. The core pulsed brighter. The ship was listening, waiting to see what they would do. Outside, the assault was beginning. Ships were moving into position. Weapons were charging. The countdown continued its inevitable march toward zero. Harper took a deep breath. The next decision would determine everything, not just for humanity, but for every species in the galaxy. He reached toward the core, ready to make the choice that would change history forever. Commander Harper stood before the core of the Harbinger. The countdown showed less than 5 minutes remaining. Outside the ship, hostile fleets were preparing their assault. Inside, his small team watched him, waiting to see what he would do. Dr. Cole had decoded more of the ship's systems. He understood now what the architects had created. This was not just a ship. It was a test of character on a galactic scale. Every decision mattered. Every action was being evaluated. Harper thought about the choices before them. They could try to claim the inheritance. Use the technology for humanity alone. That would trigger the failsafe. Or they could try to negotiate with the aggressive fleets outside. But negotiation required time they did not have. There was only one option that made sense. One choice that honored what the architects had tried to teach. We share it, Harper said. All of it. With everyone. Mitchell looked at him with confusion. Sir, if we just give it away, we lose our advantage. Other species could use it against us. That is the point, Harper said. The architects did not want us to have advantages over each other. They wanted us to work together. The test is not about being strong enough to claim the prize. It is about being wise enough to share it freely. Vexithera's scales shifted to a thoughtful color. You would give this technology to species that might use it as a weapon? I would give them the chance to prove they are better than that, Harper replied. Just like the architects gave all of us a chance. Krell's crystalline form pulsed with light. It is a risk. A tremendous risk. Everything worth doing is a risk, Harper said. He turned to Dr. Cole. Can you broadcast the ship's location and its purpose to every species in the galaxy? Cole hesitated. Yes, but if we do that, everyone will know about the inheritance. The rush to claim it could cause wars. Or it could unite them, Harper said. If we make it clear that the inheritance can only be claimed through cooperation, that violence will destroy it. Then species will have to choose. Fight and lose everything, or work together and gain everything. Mitchell understood now. You are forcing the test on everyone. Not just us. Every species in the galaxy will have to prove they are worthy. Harper nodded. That is what the architects wanted. Not for one species to succeed while others fail, but for all of us to grow together. The countdown showed 3 minutes. Do it, Harper ordered. Send the broadcast. Dr. Cole worked quickly. He connected his equipment to the ship's systems. The Harbinger cooperated, amplifying his signal. Within seconds, the message was spreading across the galaxy. Every species with receivers would know about the ship, about the test, about what it would take to claim the inheritance. Outside, the hostile fleets received the broadcast. Harper watched through the ship's sensors as they hesitated. Their commanders were reading the message. Understanding the implications, Admiral Grant contacted him. Her voice was tense but hopeful. Commander, what have you done? I gave them a choice, Admiral. The same choice we had. Cooperate or lose everything. Senator Donovan's voice came through next. The Theron Empire is standing down. They do not want to be responsible for destroying the inheritance. Other fleets are following suit. Captain Genrock added his voice. The Coalition is proposing a joint scientific mission. Multiple species working together to study the ship and distribute its gifts fairly. The countdown showed 1 minute. Harper turned back to the core. It was pulsing faster now. The moment of judgment was approaching. Did we pass? Mitchell asked quietly. I do not know, Harper admitted. But we did what we believed was right. That is all anyone can do. The countdown reached 0. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the core opened. Not violently, not explosively, but gently, like a flower blooming. Inside was not the advanced weapons or power sources they might have expected. Instead, they saw something more precious: seeds. Thousands of them, each one designed to terraform dead worlds, to create environments where life could flourish. Beside them were genetic samples, the building blocks of ecosystems, and surrounding everything was data, pure knowledge, not weapons technology, not tools of war, but understanding, science, art, philosophy, the collected wisdom of the architects. Dr. Cole approached with tears in his eyes. This is not about power. It is about creation, about spreading life throughout the galaxy. A final message activated. The voice of the architects filled the chamber. Not in words, but in pure meaning that every species could understand. They spoke of their journey, how they had nurtured life across the galaxy, how they had watched their children grow, and how they had always known that the greatest test would come when those children found each other. The architects explained that true inheritance was not about receiving gifts. It was about proving worthy of them through actions, through compassion, through the willingness to share rather than hoard. You have passed the test, the message said, not because you claimed the inheritance, but because you chose to share it. You put cooperation above competition, trust above suspicion, the future above the present. The chamber filled with light. Information flowed into the systems of every ship connected to the broadcast. The knowledge of the architects was being shared freely, not held by one species, but distributed to all who had shown themselves worthy. Mitchell smiled. We did it, Harper nodded. But he knew this was not an ending. It was a beginning. The easy part was over. Now came the hard work of living up to the principles they had demonstrated. Over the following weeks, something remarkable happened. Species that had been enemies began working together. The coalition expanded, welcoming new members who were committed to cooperation. Joint research stations were established. The seeds from the Harbinger were distributed fairly, with teams from multiple species working to terraform new worlds. There were challenges, of course. Not everyone was happy with the outcome. Some species still wanted exclusive access to the technology, but they were a minority now. The majority had seen what cooperation could achieve. Captain Genrock led the joint scientific mission. His flagship became a mobile laboratory, studying the Harbinger and learning from its systems. He personally thanked Harper for his decision. You showed us that humanity's greatest strength is not your technology or your military power. It is your willingness to trust, to be vulnerable, to believe in the good nature of others. Harper appreciated the words, but he knew humans were not perfect. They had their own problems, their own conflicts. What made them valuable was not that they were better than other species. It was that they were willing to try, to take risks for peace. Dr. Cole became the lead researcher on architect technology. He spent his days learning from the data they had inherited. Every discovery opened new possibilities, not just for humans, but for every species in the galaxy. Senator Donovan worked tirelessly to maintain the fragile peace. Her diplomatic skills were tested daily, as different species argued over how to use the inheritance. But slowly, surely, consensus formed. The inheritance belonged to everyone. It would be used to benefit everyone. 3 months after the test ended, the Harbinger did something unexpected. Its systems activated one final time. The ship began moving again. Harper watched from the meridian as the ancient vessel turned away from populated space. It was leaving, its purpose fulfilled. Mitchell stood beside him. Where is it going? To find other young civilizations, Harper said. To give them the same chance we had. The ghost ship accelerated. In moments, it had crossed into unexplored space. The sensors lost track of it, but Harper knew it was still out there. Still searching, still testing. He thought about what they had learned. The architects had not left behind weapons or tools of dominance. They had left behind a mirror, a way for species to see themselves clearly, to judge their own worthiness. The test was never about claiming something. It was about proving they did not need to claim anything, that sharing was more powerful than possessing. That trust was more valuable than control. Do you think there will be other ships? Mitchell asked. Probably, Harper said. The architects thought on a galactic scale. One ship would not be enough to test all the young species out there. And if those species fail the test? Harper was quiet for a moment. Then they will have to live with that failure, just like we would have if we had made different choices. The Meridian turned back toward human space. Their patrol was over, but the real work was just beginning. They had inherited not just technology, but responsibility. The responsibility to prove every day that they deserved what they had been given. As they traveled home, Harper reflected on everything that had happened. A mysterious ship had appeared from nowhere. It had tested them, challenged them, forced them to look at themselves honestly, and in the end it had given them the greatest gift of all. Not technology, not power, but the opportunity to be better than they were, to work together instead of competing, to build instead of destroying. The ghost ship was gone now, but its legacy remained. Every species that had participated in the test had been changed by it. They had seen what was possible when they put aside their differences, when they trusted each other. When they shared instead of hoarded, that was the true inheritance. Not the seeds or the knowledge or the technology, but the understanding that they were stronger together than apart. Harper looked at Mitchell.